All right, so staying in the NFL, we got some fresh out the press, exciting NFL free agency 2022 news. All right, so I'm gonna rattle off a couple of guys here, and then I'm gonna turn it over to Jay, and he gonna let me know what moves excited him, what moves didn't excite him. A couple of the big time moves we had. J.C. Jackson, one of the top corners in the league, go for the Patriots to the Chargers for 5 years, $82.5 million. Carlton Davis decided to re-sign with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He resigned back for 3 years, $45 million. Brandon Sheriff, the guard there, and for the Washington Commanders, I almost said the wrong thing. The Washington Commanders, he leaves them, go over to Jacksonville, the Jacksonville Jaguars for 3 years, $49.5 million. Then you got Marcus Williams, the safety from the Saints, signs with the Baltimore Ravens for 5 years, $70 million. One of my personal favorites here, Mr. Smoke him if you got him, Randy Gregory over here, edge rusher out of Dallas, decides to leave the Star and go to the Denver Broncos, also for 5 years, $70 million as rumor. Devontae Campbell, linebacker from Green Bay, resigns with Green Bay for 5 years, $50 million. And then one more, I take Christian Kirk, wide receiver from the Arizona Cardinals. He leaves the Cardinals. He also go to the Jaguars, 4 years for $72 million. I'm gonna tell you right now before I hand this over, Jay, if I had to tell you one that I thought was wildly outrageous, it's gonna be Christian Kirk. But there's neither here nor there. What stood out to you from free agency? What do you think was like a big reach? What did you think was reachable? So what did you think was solid? And then what free agency did you see that you thought was like is underrated? So let me repeat that again because I kind of broke that up. A reach, solid, and what was underrated?
Cool, that's a lot of questions. I'll try to answer them, and if I don't, please let me know because a lot of stuff to get to, and I'll try to be brief. But Jacksonville's been grabbing a lot of headlines this offseason. They had a lot of money to spend. They're using it. They're looking like New England last year. I do have to say though, and I know that our old Jacksonville correspondent, he's like, after seeing the likings of Laquan Treadwell and Tavon Austin, and some of these guys catch passes, like I'd take anything. So I get that. But 4 years, $72 million for Kirk, that's one money. That's wide receiver one money. And I haven't seen anything from Christian Kirk that leads me to believe he's a number one worthy. Need I remind you, Drink, that last year when DeAndre Hopkins did not play, that Cardinals offense was wildly different, and they struggled. And so I don't know about that. The Zay Jones thing. I mean, he started his career in Buffalo, was pretty much a non-factor, and he over with the Raiders, and he seemingly got going late, had some playoff success, or I don't know, man. But it's 7 years, $96 million for those two guys. I think the Evan Ingram thing could be somewhat interesting because I just have this idea that the Giants are just clueless and they don't know how to use him. And he's still an elite talent. Maybe a change of scenery will help him. I think Brandon Sheriff coming in, that's a big deal because Jacksonville's offensive line, it was everything. Offensive line and the receiving core was just not good. So they clearly had to make upgrades, and they have upgraded. There can be no question. But I'm not sure they're getting great value. I'm not sure they're going to get great value for the receivers they've signed. Maybe they try to use their early second round pick to bolster this receiving core again. I just think Jacksonville. I think they did a little bit much. I'm not sure if what they get on the field is going to match what they pay. That's my problem, especially with the receiving core. I think the Chargers have done well so far. including bringing back Mike Williams, 3 years, $60 million. We know the trade of Khalil Mack, pair him with Joey Bosa, big deal. And I mean, J.C. Jackson's getting paid a lot of money, but I think he's got 25 picks in 4 seasons. He's been outstanding the last 2 years. Ever since seemingly he's really been in the starting lineup. He's kind of taken the league by storm. He's definitely one of the best cornerbacks in football. Be interesting to see how Brandon Staley uses him. He had Jalen Ramsey with the Rams. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Sebastian Joseph Day, even, that looks like a good value signing. So I think the Chargers have made out really well. I think a team that perhaps a little bit under the radar as far as where I'm going right now. I think Miami's done pretty well, and I think it's some names that don't really jump off the page at you. I think Cedric Wilson. A lot of people talk about Amari Cooper leaving Dallas. Cedric Wilson got a lot of time last season, and he was impactful when he played. So I think getting him as another weapon for Tua. If he's gonna be the quarterback, I assume he is. It's Bridgewater that they signed too, so that doesn't scare me that much. Right. I think Cedric Wilson. I think that's a name to definitely keep an eye on. They needed more help at running back. I'm sorry, Myles Gaskin is just not doing it for me. Chase Edmonds is a guy who can do it as a runner, and he's electric in the passing game. We know Tua does a lot of short passing. Edmonds will probably get a lot of work there. So I think Miami's another. I think Miami maybe a little bit under the radar for me. I think they've made out well, even though the names don't jump off the page. And then, look, I'd be remiss if I did not just mention the Pittsburgh Steelers and Mitchell Trubisky. Drake, we knew that we had to do something. We knew. Because Big Ben's gone, and what are we gonna do now? You're not selling us on Mason Rudolph no more. I'm sorry,
right.
And they're obviously not. But look, we talked about like the Giants were like linked to Mitch Trubisky, and we're like, you're joking. Like this isn't serious. And now Pittsburgh, 2 years, $14 million. Drink. I ain't seen nothing from Mitch Trubisky. Since 2018, that 1 year that it was cool and they won a division and Matt Nagy looked like a coach. Ever since then, like it's been downhill to the point where Trubisky was a backup last year, didn't play at all, and Matt Nagy is now a quarterback's coach. So that tells you all you need to know about that. But somehow Pittsburgh's going to do this. That seems dicey. Now, I guess the argument is, can they, build enough of do they have enough of a foundation? They're going to have a great defense. I'm sure they're hoping for that. They'll definitely be well coached with Terrell Austin and Brian Flores and Mike Tomlin, for God's sake. And then they're going to have good weapons, and you got Najee Harris. So as long as they can get that offensive line, they utilize his legs. Can I talk myself into believing in this? So up to a point, but when you look at it at face value and you say Trubisky, Pittsburgh, it's a head scratcher.
So if I was okay, I wasn't even going. Yeah, I was. All right, yeah. Listen, I thought Mr. Trubisky was going. I would be remiss if I didn't say something, right? Like this dude here. I thought he was going to the Giants. When he was going to the Giants, I was like, okay, Brian Daboll, maybe he figured out something with Mitch Trubisky that we have yet to really see, and he can get something out of him. So I was like, okay, I can get that. Because I can definitely see him challenging Daniel Jones for the starting job. You did. But then when he signed with Pittsburgh, I'm like, is Pittsburgh holding tryouts? Like, don't they still got – so it's Trubisky. Don't they still got Dwayne Haskins on the roster? Then Mason Rudolph? I'm like, what are we doing here? This joint sound like the doggone Salvation Army. Sound like the Goodwill. Any unwanted goods go in this basket right here. Like, I don't know. I just don't know how to feel about that quarterback room at Pittsburgh right now. Man, it just makes you wonder, hey, Big Ben, maybe, I don't know. So to get back to my original question before Mr. Biscuit threw me off. So the pick that I thought was a reach is Christian Kirk. Let's go ahead and call it what it is. 4 years, $72 million. He was like, at best, a slot receiver for the Cardinals. At best. And, I mean, you know, these scouts get paid a lot of money, but these are the same scouts that didn't know Jameis Winston needed laser eye surgery to see. So I don't know about this one, Chief. We'll see. Maybe this is what he needed. On first start, he's getting paid like a one, so you assume he's going to be somewhat in a one role. We'll see. Maybe that's what he needed. But I'm just tell you, I've been following this young man since he played for Texas A&M. And I'm talking about the good Texas A&M under Kevin Sumlin when he had him popping. And I don't know. We'll see. A pick that I thought was, in my opinion, that I liked was Randy Gregory. I think the thing about Randy Gregory was this. He couldn't stay on the field because for his love of the Mary Jane. Now, Mary Jane is legal, or at least it's not testable in the NFL anymore. One thing I learned about illegal substance that turn into legal substance, they don't get, people as hype when they're legal as they do when they're illegal. When they're illegal, everybody want a piece of it because it's illegal. The minute they make it legal, all right, that was fun while it lasted. So I would not be surprised to see a second gear out of Randy Gregory around this time. He came back. He played very good for the Dallas Cowboys. The thing was, when he was on the field, I thought he played outstanding. I thought he was a good player. It was just you had to keep him on the field. He was suspended every year for at least half of the year. You gonna pencil that in. Now, he go do what he do. He takes that NFL level drug test. Oh, we good? All right, see you at practice. So I think Randy Gregory was the on the Monday. And then underrated was he hasn't signed yet, I don't think, but I went with Bobby Wagner, the former Seattle linebacker. I'm not sure. Has he signed?
I haven't heard anything on him.
Okay, I just make sure I didn't miss anything. He hasn't signed yet, but I think I got a good feeling of the team he's going to sign with, which seems like it's a good possibility. It could be the Cowboys. And if he was to go and become the starting middle linebacker for the Cowboys, I do think that's a very good thing for the Cowboys because now you get to move Parsons to the edge where he's probably the best at. I mean, don't get me wrong. My man can play, seem like every position on defense, but I think him coming off the edge is probably the best use of him. Then you alleviate the pressure on Van Der Esch and whoever else you put next to him so they can play more of a free-flowing type of game. And Bobby Wagner is very keen on what it is Dan Quinn want to do with that scheme as well with the defense. So he can call that scheme up, down, left, and right. I think that would help Dallas defense tremendously. And listen, you just rolled it out. They lost a lot on offense. So they're going to need this defense even more than they needed them in the past because of everything they lost on the offense. So I like the Bobby Wagner. I think that's an underrated move if he go to the Cowboys. I guess I have to revisit that if he gets signed by somebody else. They're just me on the premise of that. But yeah, man, those was my three moves. That was my my reach, my solid, and my underrated.